Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat. I'm going to do a quick video update here. I already did the Cat and Matt show yesterday, but decided to kind of come on and just spend maybe 10 minutes. Haha, 10 minutes. I could never make a 10-minute video. But anyway, I was looking through SP 500, the NASDAQ, the IWM Russell 2000. I was looking at ARK Fund. Also wanted to talk a little bit about like the big stocks, Palantir, Tesla, NVDA, and Bitcoin. Pretty ambitious, but not really. I'm just going to basically show you a few things here. I think that it looks bullish on a higher time frame, on the monthly time frame, but on the lower time frame, on like the weekly and daily, not so much, right? So what does that mean? That means that on a higher time frame, things still look okay. And this still looks like more of a major correction. But on a lower time frame, it looks like we might still need some time. There could still be a lot of volatility that can still happen with the indexes and with the major stocks, as well as with Bitcoin. Like, I'm not sure if we are just gonna fly out of there. And that could be a little bit more of a grind before we do that. This is the S&P 500 monthly chart here. You can see really since the financial crisis, I've this Gann square chart here. You can see how each of these arc here actually means something. Each of these horizontal lines actually do mean something here as well, because when it gets rejected from one area, find support here, back test, push up, back test, push up, back test 3 times here. Eventually it's able to push through this horizontal resistance level, push over this Gann arc over here like it's butter, went up there, touched horizontal resistance level up here around December of 2021, came back down, back test the arc here, was able to push through this arc here, no problem, but broke down underneath of it. Where did it find support here? Right around the horizontal line, right? And as soon as it found support, became big giant wick, and right now it's back inside the arc, right? So right now it's kind of stuck inside the arc here, but we are able to grab liquidity down here, back test what needed, back test here. It's not a bearish thing for it to do that. It's just not a bearish thing for it to want to do that. If you don't use an indicator, essentially back tested the previous all-time high here at the zone, right? Essentially, not quite there yet. It's about $10 off or whatever, but essentially back tested the area over there, right? It's not a bearish thing. If you look at the Ichimoku here, it did come all the way crash all the way down to the Kijun. Sometimes it does that, right? It did that over and over again. It crashes down here to the Kijun. And it did that here in August 2015, did that here in January, February 2016, did that here in December 2018. It went a little bit overboard over here during COVID, but it can come back down, test the Kijun here, sometimes during a bull market. And this is a prolonged, extended secular bull market, right? I mean, look at that, higher highs and higher lows. You can't really say that it's not, right? And it backtests a very important level here, found liquidity that it needed, found support, found demand, and then it pushed all the way back up. Now, do I think that this is over? Do I think they're just going to end up mooning from here? No, I do not, right? We did end up reclaiming the Tenkan up here for S&P 500, which is amazing, but it's a little bit negative sloping. I'm not sure if that's going to hold. It might end up being just kind of like a slippery slope kind of thing, just come back down here for a spell. If you're looking at the lower time frame, look at the weekly. There are reasons to be cautious because the Tenkan and Kijun on the weekly here is forming a bearish katana, and it's pushing right against the candle over here, right? You can see that currently the Tenkan and Kijun is around 547.52. We did end up closing the day above that, but it's still Wednesday. I think we might still have a chance of getting rejected there. That's my best guess. It's a pretty sticky situation here on the weekly. You got the cloud top over here that also need to be broke open, right? That's also going to be resistance here. I do think that this is a part of the retracement back to the mean. There's this vicious downtrend here. You can't just have things just overextend through the downtrend over here just like that. Things don't go straight in the downtrend, right? You have to have some kind of crazy mean retracement. And this 10% move today is it, right? When all the way get close to the cloud up here, and this candle over here is not closed yet, so I'd like to see how Thursday and Friday would end up, what we end up doing with that, right? If you're looking at the weekly chart here, it hasn't even fully retraced back to the mean. The means right now is like around 580s. I think if we end up retracing back up to the 20 week moving average here, it might be around 570s when we end up doing that. And that would really be a full retracement back to the mean, right? And how it reacts right there would be important, because so far we are just not anywhere near the mean quite just yet. We have a lot of resistance that we need to get over, guys, like over here with the cloud, with the Tenkan Kijun, as well as over here with the 20-week moving average is all the way up there. So we still have a lot of things to kind of get over. Although the monthly actually looks pretty amazing, there's still a lot of resistance that needs to be fought through, and might even sometimes need to do a little bit of an Adam and Eve kind of bottom here before pushing up. I don't necessarily expect like a V-shaped recovery. You might actually end up having a little bit more kind of pain over here, turn 20-week moving average a little bit more flat before going up. That's how usually things work, right? Not every single time you're going to end up having like a flash crash like COVID and you just end up becoming a V-shaped recovery up. Although it's possible, right? It is possible. That's another scenario that it could happen, but it really depends on what it does over here. And if we end up getting rejected there hard, then, you know, we'll see. We would like to see it making a little bit of higher low before further bullish continuation. Regardless, because of how it looks on the higher time frame, you see how it just basically came back all the way down to the 20-month moving average and holding with a big giant wick into it, right? This is a very kind of bullish kind of look into it. I don't have anything against the way that the monthly is looking so far, right? It can go back down further to the 20-month moving average, right? It can certainly span a little bit more, like month or two or three in the sideways over here, trying to hold the 20-month moving average here before making bullish continuation, or if it ends up breaking down, then never mind, right? But I like the fact that it's using it as support. I like the fact that it's holding it pretty decently here too, right? QQQ basically the same story. I'm not gonna go through too much of it. It's on the Ichimoku here on the. Actually, I want to show you SPY here on the 2-week. Touch the top of the 2-week Ichimoku cloud here perfectly, right? Kind of like it did over here. Perfectly touched, right? QQQ perfectly touched. Basically the same story, right? But bounce right up here. Right now we're at resistance here again on the Tenkan Kijun. Right now we're at resistance up here in Tenkan Kijun. Basically the same thing. Look at the monthly. It's still underneath the Tenkan here. S&P 500 is also underneath of that here a little bit. Although it's serving a little bit of support. It actually ended up breaking above that Tenkan over here. But QQ is underneath of that. So it's stuck in range. It's still underneath resistance. But like I cannot be that bearish because it did the same thing. I came back to the Kijun down here and holding, right? What happens after it comes back down to the Kijun, the red line here holding? Well, here went up a lot higher. Here it went up a lot higher. Here it went up a lot higher, right? Here it went up a lot higher. So we're basically seeing very, very similar kind of thing over here. We will have to see whether or not we're able to break back above the Tenkan over here before we can have some further bullish continuation. I think it probably needs to go sideways here to cool down here a little bit longer though. Looking at the 20-month moving average, holding the support, big giant wick down below. Again, very similar to the S&P 500. I wonder I have to maybe consolidate sideways here a little bit longer before going up higher. On the weekly here, very similar situation here. Tenkan Kijun, top of the cloud here, resistance, and then also the 20-week moving average is already up here. You know, so you're gonna have a little bit more time to get up to the 490s maybe. Probably gonna get rejected there, consolidate size, maybe form a higher low here before going further. Who knows? That's kind of what I'm seeing here. But overall, on the higher time frame, is still relatively bullish because of big giant wick like this. It's just absolutely incredible. I don't expect it to necessarily close a month like that. Maybe close a month down here a little bit. We'll see. Regardless, there's a big demand zone down below. IWM basically coming back down to this whole giant zone over here where it consolidated sideways here for about a year and a half. Come back down here again, found a lot of demand down here, and it is able to dig into the Ichimoku cloud. It's still inside Ichimoku cloud. We're not back above yet. So IWM has recovered nearly as nice as how QQQ and SPY has been recovering. Right now, it's still got a pretty full body candle over here. It's still underneath resistance. We'll have to see what it has to do, right? There's probably a lot of repairing that IWM needs to do before it can even get up there. 2-week cloud is holding, that's good. Weekly, it's not even getting back to the cloud yet, right? Whereas QQQ is already back to the top of the cloud here. SPY is already back to the top of the cloud here. IWM still got a ways to go. Maybe IWM actually end up catching up here, who knows? But yeah, it's still got a ways to go here, so I can't really say anything else about it. It's underneath the 20 moving average. It got really close to the low Bollinger Band here. Decided not to touch it, but overall, it's a pretty vicious downtrend here. It looks like it's got some pretty decent demand here, so we'll see, right? And if you're also looking at FIB levels, all I have to say is that it's holding 0.382 here so far. That's kind of what it's doing. It broke down underneath, quite a lot of liquidity down here below. And so far, the size of 0.382 is where it should be. So that's where it price is at right now. Look at ARK Fund, doing a very, very similar thing. You see this big giant hammer over here. Usually it's a pretty good mark for bottoming. Though this is a monthly chart, we still have another 2/3 of a month to go. It's far from over. We're still underneath the 20-month moving average. I'd like to see it reclaim the 20-month moving average before it becomes really, really more bullish on it. I think it will. It's underneath the Tenkan Kijun over here too as well. But I think that this wick down, if it ends up holding like that for a month of April, and if we end up closing above the 20-month moving average, then it's going to be pretty bullish here. I think it has a chance to do that. Looking at big three stocks, I'm going to spend too much time on them, but I do want to bring up because you're going to have a hard time ignoring the fact that all three of these have gone up basically 20%, right? Palantir, right? I don't even need to look at a Bollinger Band. I can, right? I can look at a Bollinger Band. It wants to get sucked back up to the upper Bollinger Band that's expanding, right? That's a magnet. The upper Bollinger Band is pointing up and is serving as a magnet for price to want to get up there. Now, so far, we only have about a third of a month, right? This is a monthly candle. Very nice wick down below. Very nicely bullish engulfing compared to the last candle over there. But we are not done yet. The month is not done yet. Volatility may not be done yet. We're up 19%. I'm not sure we're going to end up holding the gains. We will see. So far, you have a decent demand zone down here. So far, you have a bullish engulfing candle over here. So far, it's looking pretty decent, but we'll see. I do love the fact that it came back down and touched the Kijun down here, and basically touched the Tenkan Kijun down here within a month. Back tested what we need to back test here. This move over here, if we end up closing a month looking just like this move over here is actually quite bullish. It favors for a bullish continuation because it needed to take a break after a big giant move up like this. It needed to take a break, touch the Tenkan Kijun, and I think now we're getting a little bit more ready to kind of run here. On the lower time frame, you have a little bit of worries here because the Kijun, you're reclaiming the Kijun over here. You got a little bit of bullish engulfing here, but again, the week is not done yet. 2 more trading days, and right now you're facing a little bit of a Tenkan resistance up here above, right? You are also trying to reclaim the 20-week moving average. We'll see whether or not that holds or not, because that also can potentially be a resistance level there. So on the weekly, it probably still has a little bit more room to kind of fight here before we can say that we're out of the woods here. On the daily chart, still underneath the daily Ichimoku cloud here. You see how it broke underneath the Ichimoku. Trying to push back about Ichimoku, and they got rejected, come back down here, and we're trying to break through the level here again. We'll see whether or not we're able to do it. Tesla. Let's zoom out here back to the monthly. I'm extremely bullish if the month closed the way it does. I'm extremely, extremely bullish. Why is that? The reason why is because you got a tweezer bottom over here right into the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly, right? On top of that, you've also basically backtested this trend line over here twice, right? Once and twice. Beautiful backtest of the trend line here, right at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. When have we seen that before? Well, we saw that before right here, where you have a negative trend line here, backtested right at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, right? Except that we compressed the 6 month, this 2-year price action here into 6 months. Which to me, I think it looks pretty decent here. If you also look at the 20-month moving average, you can also see that it's holding it just fine. Had a tweezer bottom here so far. If the month closed like this, I'd be extremely bullish here on a higher time frame, right? But the month is not done yet. You still have about 2/3 a month go, so we'll see how it goes. But so far in a higher time frame looks great, right? What about in a lower time frame? Well, it's stuck in a range. It's at the top part of the range right here. It's at a very much of a resistance zone up here around 270s. You can see how this level here is resistance, right? Like it's not going to be. You see how there's support over here, right? So it's going to be a resistance zone over here until proven otherwise. Tesla still has some work to do on a lower time frame, right? That's all I have to say. Even though it went up 22% today, it's going back up to the top of the range. It needs to prove that it can break through that before further bullish continuation. That's all there is to it, right? NVIDIA, I think I have to take a look at a little bit of a higher time frame here. It did end up not holding my again. ARKK is still serving its resistance here. But NVIDIA also has a lot to prove here too, right? Because it did break down underneath my GAN arc here. But with that said, it is holding a 20-month moving average. I was posting this on X. I was basically saying like, if it's not able to hold a 20-month moving average, and it got really scary. It didn't look like it was going to hold. If it doesn't, then it's going to go down further, like it did over here when it broke down to 20, like it did over here when it broke down to 20. But when it's holding the 20 like that, it makes me wonder whether or not it's going to be one of those things that's actually going to end up having a little bit of rollover back to 20 before further bullish continuation. I think there is a chance here that the 20 can hold, right? I think there is a chance, since the Tenkan down here is holding, it needs to reclaim the kitchen above, but this whole move down here may hold, right? Same thing, if it holds there, then you have a chance for further bullish continuation. If it doesn't hold like it did over here, broke down, back test, failed. Here, same thing, right? Broke down, back test, failed, right? But if it's able to hold the kitchen like it did over here, right, then you're talking about maybe some further bullish continuation here. So far, it's got a little bit of hammer bottom here. I think it's looking not bad here for NVIDIA. But again, some resistance levels up here above to try to break through, right? Same thing, Tesla also have resistance levels up here above. For Palantir, not so much here on a higher time frame, but on the weekly time frame, you have a little bit of resistance up here above, right? So we're not out of the woods yet. I expect to have some continued volatility, and it can be extremely volatile because VIX so far is still in the 30s, right? So I expect some further volatility here, even if these stocks are bullish. Finally, I want to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, very similar story on a higher time frame. It's still very bullish because if you look at the Ichimoku here, it's still holding a Tenkan here just fine, right? Whenever it's a bull market, it holds a Tenkan, that gives you a chance for you to make the next leg up higher after it's done consolidating, right? It just does that over and over again. You can see this bull market in 2015, 2016, 2017, you just ride the Tenkan all the way up, right? And over here, so far we're riding a Tenkan, but it's just a lot slower. I can show you, like this cycle is just overall just a lot slower compared to before. I can show you what I was showing you before. I can show you that in the 2015 to 17 bull cycle, it was riding the 20-week moving average all the way up, right? On the 2020 and 2021 cycle, it touched the 20 here, and then it just went up, exhausted the whole thing, it just went a lot higher. Here, we're not really doing that. Here, instead of riding the 20, we're riding the 50-week moving average, and so far is holding here still, right? This cycle is just a lot slower. I don't know what else to say. It's just going to burn everybody out. I don't necessarily think the bull market is over though, right? Because it's holding a 50, it's holding a Tenkan here on the monthly. I think that the bull market continues until proven otherwise, because it's more or less to a higher, low type situation. So the question is, what are we going to do next? Nobody really knows. But I do think there's a possibility where it can go sideways here for another few weeks, touch Ichimoku before further bullish continuation, kind of like it did over here, right? You're just going to have a hard time breaking above that fast. Look at the daily here. A lot of technical damage has been done. You can see a big trend line over here that it still hasn't really broken above, right? You've touched points number 1, 2, 3, 4 times, haven't really broken above yet. I think the downward momentum is slowing, which is good, right? I think the downward momentum here looks like it's definitely slowing here, which is pretty good. I do have a GAN arc over here on the daily, which is basically respecting this GAN arc extremely well, especially the bottom of arc over here. Just keep touching on the way up here. But it's no longer touching the bottom arc, it's touching the top arc over here. I think that is slowing down its bearish momentum. I don't even need to even put up the RSI here to show you that. But the RSI is showing you as price go down, RSI is going up, right? You have bullish divergence here forming, which means that you have deceleration of the downtrend. At some point, we're going to need to challenge the 84K horizontal level over here that we broke down off over here. If we're able to reclaim that, then we go back to the arc. Arc's also going to be resistance. And if we break through the arc, then we're talking about triple digits. You're talking about 6 digits here again, right? But a lot of resistance level they need to break above. I do think that bullish momentum here is being built up, but it may take a while for it to really try to, really flip this from being a bear trend over here to a bull trend. You can see that a lot of work has been expanded, but if you just simply pull the bullish band here, you can see that even though we have a very bullish day on Bitcoin, it just got rejected here by the 20-day moving average. We still are not able to break above the 20-day moving average. Until we break above the 20-day moving average and holding it, here we had a false breakout, broke down underneath of it again, try to push through, not able to hold, and then we have another leg down, right? Here, we're trying to break through again. If we're able to truly break through, back test it, that's when a bull market starts, right? Or even have a chance for starting. Right now, it's just been resistance after resistance after resistance. We're trying to get over it. We got some bullish momentum here with a bullish divergence with RSI. See whether or not we can use that to push through, right? But so far, we're still a little bit on a downtrend here. So hopefully, we're able to break about the negative sloping, trend line over here. Hopefully, we're able to break about this area over here. If we are, then I think we get to run, but we haven't done it yet. Anyway, 20 minutes. Went through a lot of content here. Hope you enjoy this video. If you do, I guess I'll make more. Take care, guys. Bye.